Well, this week, Showtime premiered its much-hyped mini-series, the adaptation of Tim Winton's novel Cloud Street. It's the latest offering in a swathe of high-quality Australian drama and reality programming to hit our screens. And one of the driving forces behind these programs is industry stalwart Des Monaghan. He's the executive director and co-founder of Screen Time and is here with us in the studio. Des, it's great to have you here on Media Week. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
Cloud Street, one of the most critically acclaimed productions that Screen Time's done, I guess alongside Underbelly?
Absolutely, and in fact none of us have ever seen reviews that we got for Cloud Street, so we were all on a high and trying very hard to be very modest about it, but failing miserably.
Tell me, Des, the Cloud Street's only available to Foxtel and Austar customers. Does part of you and maybe the team think, gee, it might be nice to get out there to a bigger audience, or do they understand the dynamics of how that works?
Oh, we understand the dynamics. I mean, we were delighted and have remained in awe of the support we got from Showcase and Peter Rose and his team. I mean, it was a big call. It was a very, very brave call. I mean, this is many had tried to bring it to screen, and for a whole variety of reasons it didn't happen. So, you know, whenever it was, 4 or 5 years ago when we first started to do this, it was very brave to commit as they did and to stay with us over a very long journey. So, you know, all credit to Peter and his team, and I hope it does what it appears to be doing already, everything they hope for it. So we're very pleased. In the fullness of time, people will be able to see it on DVD, and who knows, Showcase might decide to sell it to free-to-airs, because I know there's a lot of free-to-air interest, and they're a little annoyed with us that we didn't go with them.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about other distribution channels. It sounds like it's not your call as to where it would go, but would you like to see perhaps it be sold to overseas?
Oh, no, definitely it's going overseas, and Peter and I are looking at all the various offers that are coming in to distribute it across the world.
Subscription TV is investing significantly more funds in the sector for Australian productions these days, and deciding to on-sell less to free-to-air. Do you get that as a business model, and do you think it's a good idea as a way to drive our customers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the challenges for a production house such as Screen Time is that we have a very finite number of customers in our domestic market. So when the Foxtel channels are becoming more and more aggressive players in that area, it's to be welcomed and encouraged. And I'm delighted that they are putting more and more funding into domestic production.
Because obviously something like Cloud Street, it's a big budget production, and seen, you know, as wonderful as Foxtel and Austar, it's still seen by a fairly niche audience. So that must be a hard balance to get right. You've got to throw a lot of money at these things, and obviously advertising and subscriptions.
Well, it was, you know, as I say, it was a very brave call by Showcase and Peter Rose in particular, and I'm delighted it's certainly paying off for us, and it appears to be paying off for them, because the initial ratings, as you would know, were by all accounts exceptional.
Very strong, yeah.
Tell us, the Australian audiences are really flocking to Australian productions these days. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago it's always been the case, but they'd sort of mix it with CSIs and other imported programs. Not so much these days. Is there a bit of a cycle, do you think, or what's going on there?
Domestic product is always very popular in its own market, but it does tend to be cyclical to some degree, not nearly as much as the media tends to want to suggest sometimes. I remember, you know, many moons ago when I was at 7, and I got a call from one of the major newspapers saying, "Why are you commissioning Blue Heelers? Everybody knows drama's dead on television." Well, you know, it's stronger than ever, and thank God, and it will be. You know, people want to hear their own stories, and that's the great strength we have, and companies like us have, in that we know that our audience want to hear stories about themselves and about the country in which they live.
High quality reality shows here seem to be doing really big business as well. Is that a reflection on, perhaps, as I said, their high quality? Are they getting so much better? Is that what's driving this infatuation that we seem to have with the shiny floor shows and then the things like MasterChef?
No, the shiny floor shows are doing very well, and they are extremely well produced. I mean, production standards in Australia are on a par or better than in the vast majority of countries around the world. I think what's happening is that the networks, whether they be on the Foxtel platform or free-to-air, are having to put more and more money into production. And the reason they have to do that is that there are so many options there for the viewer now. The only way you cut through is with event programming. And event programming is by its nature expensive, whether it's drama or non-fiction. It is expensive, and therefore you're able to do first-class production values, and certainly the audience respond to those first-class production values. And whether it's MasterChef or the dance shows or talent or whatever, or the dramas, it's certainly producing the numbers for the networks.
With screen time, I think not that long after you started, did very well with the reality sort of talent search. That you haven't done a lot of that recently. Do you have sort of, how does that work? Do you have personal favourite things that you'd like to get up first, or is it just a matter of what projects come across your desk?
Well, it's interesting, James, when Bob Campbell and I were first meeting the company, we wrote a business plan, quite brilliant business plan, which said that we would be 100% drama house. We would do nothing else. Of course, the first show that we got commissioned was a magazine show in New Zealand, and we did 1,400 episodes of it, and thank God for it, and it was a big, big plus for us. So to a degree, you have to respond to market demands like any business, and it tends to wax and wane a little. There was a time, God, it wasn't that long ago, so 4 or 5 years ago, no, maybe a little longer, 6 years ago, when we were struggling with drama. We were, it was a dip in the market at that point, and we were reliant on non-fiction. At the moment, our drama slate is stronger than our non-fiction slate, but the non-fiction slate is growing quickly, and Simon Steele, who heads that division for us, has got a big, big hit on his hands with RBT.
Des Monahan, congratulations on Cloud Street. Thank you very much for being part of the show.
Thank you very much indeed.
Let's take a look at the ratings for week 21. In the free-to-air space, Australia's Got Talent in the #1 position this week, followed by 7 News Sunday and Dancing with the Stars. MasterChef Australia on Monday in 4th. Australia's Got Talent on Wednesday came in at 5th place. MasterChef, I should say, Thursday was in 6th, followed by Come Fly With Me in 7th position. 9 News Sunday at 8th. MasterChef again on Sunday, and Wednesday taking out the 9th and 10th. Positions. James, we talked about Come Fly With Me last week. I watched it. I didn't really like it.
Didn't you?
What did you think?
Well, yeah, I love it. I mean, the audience, yeah, and the audience is warming to it too. I mean, so it's had a second week. It did very well. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, did you like Little Britain?
I did. I thought Little Britain was fabulous and very clever. I thought Come Fly With Me was just a bit like it was trying to rip that off, but not quite as funny.
Maybe don't hang out in airports
I must have been in the wrong mood. I just I didn't even watch after the second half.
I'll give it another go.
All right, subscription television ratings for week 21. Sport first, NRL West Tigers v Panthers. That match was in the top spot, followed by the Titans v the Sea Eagles game. Hawthorn v St Kilda in AFL at 3rd this week. West Coast v Fremantle also in the AFL. Then NRL Knights v Warriors, that match coming in at 5th position. Grand Designs Revisited was in at 1st place this week on the non-sport programs, followed by The Simpsons. Relocation, Phil Down Under in at 3rd. Tony Robinson Explores Australia in 4th, and EastEnders rounding out the top 5 for this week. Of course, those numbers are not for Cloud Street. They're the ones we'll have next week. We would expect that to be
I think Cloud Street was the
right
most watched show on Sunday night outside after the footy shows. I think.
It was one of the most watched shows sort of ever, I think, and in that space. Anyway, just quickly, James, next week we've got lots to look forward to, including on Monday there's a big Fairfax launch. What's that all about? Yeah,
Greg Hywood's going to explain their iPad editions. I think there's, well, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we think there's a Sydney Morning Herald and an Age, so they'll be unveiling those separate to the newspaper. So, will
Greg Hywood be speaking with us?
The bit of luck he will be.
Greg? Yeah. All right, James Manning, we thank you.
Thanks, Kylie.
Catch up with you next week. That is all we have time for in this edition of Media Week. From the team here, thanks very much for your company.